So welcome to Switzerland, welcome to this gorgeous land, and of course gonna introduce you to, well, you probably some of you might know already, the absolutely legendary Yogi with us here. And thank you for bringing me to Switzerland. And I did the pilgrimage once, the Santiago de Compostela one, and I started in Switzerland. And when I was passing by, I knew that I'm gonna come back. There was like something saying to me, I'll be back. And when I heard that, when I get to know that you're gonna be doing the workshops here, it was like a, okay, that's why I had that feeling to come back. And we just finished the seminar, 2 days of quite intensive yoga practice, and we've been swimming in the river today, so we want to pass on this energy to people who might enjoy it as well. So thank you, Reinhard, for joining, and thank you for all that seminars and teaching you do these days. I was gonna ask you about, when you said yesterday that you had, in 18 years old, you had a birthday in Varanasi, something happened to you. I feel that sometimes, our destiny unwraps, perhaps with pilgrimages, something taps into us, because I can tell it for myself as well. Taps in, something unwraps from past lives or something. I don't know, do you feel that there's something which pulled you, that memory from the past lives, to come in this life to be a yogi?
This is a very difficult question. Of course, I believe that yoga for me is something which I have already been doing long time before. I even thought that I might have been maybe somehow advanced practitioner in the very old past. But I think, or I believe, that I made mistakes which changed my karma, of course, and made me just undergo other lives which were absolutely not lives of yogi anymore. Like I remember my previous life, which was the life of a poor working man here in Switzerland, not so far away from the place where I live now. I had 11 children, and I was working from day to day, we call it Tagelöhner, somebody who worked who look for a job every day to get enough money for the family. And I really firmly believe that this memory or this knowledge who I was is quite real, and this made me understand, of course, why in this life, for instance, I never wanted children. I didn't want to have a normal family life. I was I was waiting very, very long until I could decide to share my life with a woman or something like this. Because I believe my previous life was quite hard. There was not much love, and of course a lot of work and a lot of children. Yeah, but I know that the guru, like you have, everybody has a guru. I believe guru is God. Yeah, God is in everybody's life, and my guru, I'm sure he was with me already a long time ago, and I'm sure such a guru knows all the lifetimes that you pass through, and somehow is always a little bit present, even if you don't know about guru. In my last life I didn't know about such things, but in this life, of course, suddenly during my youth, the hippies came, Woodstock and all this, and suddenly this Indian spirit, Indian spirituality, Indian music, which came in the 60s and then very strongly in the 70s. And the dream, when I was 17, the dream to stop everything, like I dropped out of school and I never wanted to learn something. I never learned a profession. I refused this society. I wanted something better. Looked for it in drugs, unfortunately, you can say, but exactly these drugs were also one reason why I wanted to go to India, because India, it was like the fairy tale land where people smoke hash and where you expect this magic spiritual spirit to be alive. And so when I was 17, I came to Varanasi and I smoked a lot of ganja with Agori Babas in Varanasi without even knowing that they were Agoris. I just thought they are quite beautiful guys with their chatas, with their long hair and their freedom somehow. And I believe there was something, of course, came. India captured me, not in a very nice way, I must say. My first trips, I made 3. In the 70s, they were quite heavy. I was always sick. I was, of course, I eat meat. I was not a vegetarian. I didn't care about food much in these days. And all these spiritual things, they were, of course, very new to me. I remember one guy who said, I was in Varanasi, I heard the Om when they were smoking on the houseboat in the night, and I absolutely didn't know what is an Om, how is it to hear an Om in this world, such things. A very young Danish guy in Kathmandu, also in 71, he was the first who started to explain about yin and yang and such things. I absolutely didn't know anything. But of course it created interest. But first it was more the drug, I believe, which created, of course, the magic spirit and everything. But I was in Delhi, and this is really strange. Like my guru, the man who was my guru, a guru knows you from birth. Of course, he even helps to bring you to a certain mother or whatever, because the guru is like part of your destiny. And he had his ashram in Delhi, the Vishwayatan Yoga Ashram. And as I said, I was always in a very bad condition. I was very skinny. I was almost like only bones and some skin. Always diarrhea, very strong diarrhea for many months. And I sometimes felt very miserable. I couldn't stand the Indians anymore, who always so pushy, jump on you, ask questions, or try to push you around, cheat you and so on. If you want to buy some small thing, you always have to fight. And I was just sometimes really tired. And I lived in Paharganj in 1971. It was absolutely different than today, of course. It was a place where there were some hippie hotels, but there were a lot of junkies. It was a place of drugs, basically. The main bazaar, as it is called today, it existed, but very small, a few shops. But there were pharmacies where you could buy opium, raw opium and charas for free, like legally. And so many foreigners, of course, or drug-addicted foreigners, they stayed in these very cheap hotels and used also injections. Brown sugar was very popular. And me, of course, I never was interested in this, only in psychedelics and smoke. But I sometimes was so fed up with Paharganj that I started to look for a place where I would feel better, and I found a space. I didn't have money, so everything I did was by foot in Delhi. I walked, and then I found it's called Talkatora Park, Talkatora Gardens. It's a very big park near Ashoka Road. And I started to go there almost every day. I bought some nuts and then fed these squirrels, which are many in Indian trees and so on. And I really liked to be there. It was very peaceful. I lay in the grass, I daydreamed and so on. And then when I met my guru first time in Delhi, and when he took me to his ashram in Ashoka Road, I saw that the place where I used to go in the 70s, many years before, it was exactly behind the ashram. Yeah, and so I thought maybe this peace which I felt and this relaxing feeling, it came basically from the near presence of this guru, of course, which was waiting for me to change.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And did you how did you remember your past life? Was it a certain technique you used, or is it did it come just naturally to you?
No, it was how should I say it? Okay, I had dreams of before I met my guru, when I changed my life, became vegetarian and so on. I started to have dreams, like yogi dreams, about yoga, about my guru, and I even in some dreams, when I already had his books in 1979, I was instructed in the dreams for some practice which was not in the book. And of course in the beginning I didn't know whether I was just doing something out of my own fantasy, and I was a little bit afraid if it could be something not good, but I felt that it was helpful, and so I did it. And then later, of course, I found out when I met my guru that all this was good, and that it was very important for me to do such things. And then my guru, also in dreams, he told me several times that I should go to Africa to learn about Kundalini. And in 1981, I finally left Switzerland to travel to Africa. I spent almost a year in Africa I didn't have any money, or just enough money to get to Marrakesh. And in Marrakesh, enough money to buy, with my very last money, I bought a plane ticket over the Sahara to Dakar, Senegal. And when I arrived there, I was absolutely broke. And I wanted to do, I thought my guru, he wanted me to find out something about Kundalini, and I believe I must go to South Africa, maybe to the bottom of Africa, to find about this power. And then a very strange trip began, of course, when you have no money. It's quite a different way of traveling. It was quite crazy, to be frank. I had a very strange year, very strange. And when I came back from Africa, I really wanted to start yoga for real, and I promised to God and Guru that I would try to preserve my sperm. This was one of the things which most people don't like to do. Of course, it's quite a change in your life. And that I really wanted to follow and do everything what this guru wanted. And then I started to practice, and in the very beginning, in 1982, I had this strange vision in my room when suddenly, after my promise that I really want to try and do everything, and I was not on drugs in this time, of course, I was very sober, then I had this very strange experience that this guru appeared in my room in a form of light, but it was obviously him. I recognized every detail. And he started to talk to me, and he said if I really want to do it, then he would start to be my teacher. And he told me that I should start to purify myself, and I began with Shat Karma heavily every day. I worked for a couple of years as a newspaper distributor. I was very poor. When I came back from Africa, absolutely no money, and then I found a small room, cheap room in Bern, and I needed to make some money, and then for a couple of years I lived from about 600 Swiss francs per month from distributing newspaper in the very early morning, and it was of course perfect. I had to get up early, then I came home after about 2 hours, and I started to do Shat Karma. And when I began with regular practice of
cleansing techniques,
of Shankha Prakshalana, this I think was the deepest practice. Of course, I did all the other two. I did everyday Ganesh Kriya, I did Sutra Neti.
Vomiting.
The vomiting, Kunjala, this is done in the beginning. This is like an exercise which you don't need to do forever and ever. It's about getting mastery over the vomiting effect. That you overcome this impulse to vomit. And that's why you vomit voluntarily, and after, it's said in the Shastra, you do Kunjala maybe maximum 1 month every day. And me, after 2 weeks, I could go with my hand in my throat and had to move hard, and it was really hard to create the effect. And then I realized myself, this was in 1979, that now you can do with the strings, because now it's you can reach them, and I knew the most difficult, of course, is to reach them when you push them back into the throat. And so then everything came together. In this time I wrote to the translator, a woman who translated my guru's books in German, and asked her if she knew where I could get real sutra netis. I didn't want to use a rubber, which the other people used. And she sent me a pair, and I started to do it. And then later in 1982, of course this was regular daily practice. Danta Toti, as it's called, cleaning the teeth, the tongue and everything, milking the tongue, and then doing Sutra Neti, Chala Neti, and every 2 weeks. You should not do it more, but this is like the maximum that you should do, the conch cleaning, Shankha Prakshalana. I did
colon cleansing.
Yeah. And these exercises, they triggered something very, very strong. It began, of course, I was doing heavy practice, maybe too much. There were times in the early 80s until I met my guru, when I could hardly walk anymore, because I struggled so hard to master the lotus pose and all difficult asanas. In this time I believe that the real yogi is the one who can do the most heavy exercises. So I of course wanted also to be one of them. Later, I found out that this is a step, but it's not so important as many people think, and that many people who can do very crazy asanas are absolutely not yogis and still have a very bad character and so on. But of course in this time it was very important. And Shanka Prakshalana, I believe it was this exercise which is described as the deepest cleansing of the body, because you don't only clean the intestines, you clean your genetic system. It's about purifying from old karma. And I believe this is true, because when I did my daily practice, then as I learned from my guru's books, that first you do the hard work, and then always in the end you do Shavasana. And Shavasana became very deep, and I started to see things in Shavasana. Like it began with that every time when I did Shavasana, suddenly I fell like into a kind of a deep sleep, but I knew I was not sleeping, that I was awake, and I started to see some things, and first it was always the same, and I didn't know what it was. First I just saw like shapes and colors, and then I started to understand that it is like houses which I see, but as if I would lay on the back, and I see like walls of houses with roofs and windows and so on. And then one day I remembered which houses I saw, and it was we lived in a part of working class people in Bern, and when I was born there, and when I was still in the how you call it, cart. Yeah, when I was still a baby in the cart, my mother, she used to go up a hill, and there mostly she met other women who also had small children, babies. Of course I know this because after it happened, when I was a little bit bigger and consciously remembered, but suddenly I knew I had memories from the time when I was a baby, that I saw this from the cart. I was laying and I saw exactly these houses as a baby would see them. You see some colors, some shapes, some squares, and it was of course quite interesting for a child. And this was the first that I noticed, and the next was that by having this memory, suddenly my relation with my father, he was still alive at that time, we always were like enemies. Even since I was born, it was never a really good relation. For him I was an intruder and like an opponent. And we fought each other very hard, especially when I was a little bit older, of course, when I wanted to break away from my parents' house. And because of these memories, my relation with my father became better without talking about it. It was as if my father, the more that I remembered, the more my father started to relax, and I felt that he accepted me somehow, or even respect me. He was afraid of what I did. He always thought I do things which nobody should know and which are not quite kosher, as Jews would say, not clean and strange and maybe forbidden, illegal, connected to some kind of criminal activities or drugs or whatever. And it helped to create like a better atmosphere inside of the family until the day when my father died. And I saw that Shat Karma was quite powerful practice, and in this time I suddenly knew who I was in the life before, and I was absolutely sure. And I started to understand, when you know such a thing, you start to understand why in this life certain things you will not want to do again, and you have like already a certain program inside of you which says no, just
Fantastic. Well, that's fascinating to hear the people's stories about past lives, so I'm always interested. But I really respect with your work you do, like bringing the real yoga there and really bringing that connection, conscious and unconscious part of yoga with some powerful exercises like we did before Ajagari, which is really a missing link in even Kundalini Yoga world. So that missing link was brought by you, and really kind of you put it's in the center of your practice. I would say
it's the most important. Yeah, and I maybe more or less in a similar position as my own guru was. Of course, he was in a different position. He was a much more powerful man when I met him, and he had another kind of life. But it was also, he tried to show the people that most modern yoga styles, which were called yoga and which even adopted names like Ashtanga yoga, is what I learned. Yeah, and it has absolutely nothing to do, or not much to do, with what they call Ashtanga today. This gymnastic, hard physical practice, which was created. I mean, there are books about this. There is a very interesting book from a guy, from an American guy who wrote, it's called The Yoga Body. The Yoga Body, his name I don't remember right now, where he was a disciple or a student of Iyengar and Patabi Joyce, a private student, you can say, and he wanted to honor his teachers by writing about their achievements and about what good they did in bringing this yoga to America. And he started to investigate, and at the end he found out that what they teach is not yoga. Yeah, he started to find scriptures, and he started to have doubts also about many things which they told about Krishnamacharya, that he was traveling to the Himalaya, that he learned from some yogis in the Himalaya and so on. And that when they were talking about this Yoga Karunta, this scripture, which he writes that he is sure that it doesn't exist, it was just all like made up to create a story around Krishnamacharya, who was a yoga teacher, you can say a simple yoga teacher in a Maharaja's palace, but not more than that. And then his students, or some students, made him a very, very eminent guru and started to invent, of course, also stories. This is the problem in modern yoga, that everywhere you find yoga, and all the yoga uses the names which they take mostly from the Hatha Pradipika. In the Hatha Pradipika, in the last chapter, you find all these names in one stanza, where he says that this Hatha Yoga is the most powerful yoga. It's the real yoga. Shiva called it the Siddhi path, the path of supernatural realizations, and that this path has many names, that it is called Ashtanga Yoga, that it is called Samadhi Yoga, that it's Hatha Yoga, Raja Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, all these names. And most of these teachers, they just take one of the names and made it a brand. Somehow they made something, adopted the name and made something by themselves, like a product. Yeah.
But is that shamanic roots of yoga? Is that what's interesting as well in your work, that you kind of don't afraid to look beyond the scriptures?
Yeah, of course, because Hatha is not it's not something which is based on writings. This yoga, according to my own belief, it is the oldest yoga which exists, and it is even said in the Yoga Shastra. It goes back to pre-Vedic times, when India was a shamanic country, there were no it was long before the Aryan invasion, which brought this newer Hinduism as we know it, and new philosophies like Vedanta and such things. Hatha comes from a time when shamans lived in India, where somehow shamans were the priests or the high priests of Shiva and Kali. They used to worship the lingam and the yoni. This what all archaic or old cultures used to worship. These symbols of creation and destruction as well. And this yoga, according to my belief, it's very, very old. It is said in these scriptures it stems from the mouth of Shiva, who is the oldest ever emanation of divine power in the history of mankind, when suddenly the gods start to have a face or an appearance or something. Yeah, so for me, Hatha is the real yoga. It contains all these things which are essential. The Kundalini, of course, as the most important thing which is needed to practice a real yoga. And then it contains, you cannot become a Hatha yogi if you are not a Bhakta, if you are not also like getting some knowledge, maybe by reading some holy books, Puranas or Upanishads or whatever, or even the Bible. You need to have this hunger, I think, for getting closer to the God. And all these other kind of yoga which we know today, it is included in Hatha. It's not just about practicing asanas and pranayama. It's about purification of the mind and the body and of the soul even. It's about transformation, about becoming a new person. And I said yesterday, I believe the real yogi, he must be absolutely pure and good inside. There cannot be any more evil, no more greed, nothing like this. No more desire for any worldly things, even though he might have everything. But inside of him, just absolute peace. And for instance, for myself, I know I'm not yet on this level. I mean, these temptations, they start to bother you until you reach the highest levels. And I started to see that what I did in the beginning with this hard work, with asanas, with Shatkarma and so on, it was very useful, of course. It was needed. It created discipline, and I started to follow as a regular discipline, regularity, not living just like a freak, doing what you like.
Just say that Reinhard was you've been doing yoga for more than 42 years, right? And you are 69 now. And when I heard it yesterday, I was like, wow, this is like, I think we're missing like people like you in our culture. We need that kind of generation, passing that wisdom from like very personally. When you talk about your guru as well, it's like, and when I come to you, is that kind of understanding of the golden link, golden chain, where we can pass on those things to each other and really present. So thank you for doing this work. But I also know that Dhirendra Brahmachari told you that don't be a teacher, be a yogi first, right? But he
always told me, don't try to become a yoga teacher, try to become a yogi.
You made a choice. Well, thank you for making the choice to step and start teaching, because that's
but this
important.
was like forced on me somehow. It is of course in the beginning for about 25 years I I should not teach. I even once in 1987 I wanted to start, and then immediately saw that it was absolutely not what I should do, and stopped almost instantly again. And then later it just came, and I also said in the seminar, to become a teacher, for me it was to become student of a new level of yoga. You, as a teacher, you are not just a teacher. To become a teacher, you must go on slowly and learn many things, of course, because you are dealing with people. You are not alone anymore, and you try to give something to the people which is not so easy to explain, and which many people also don't understand in the right way, and start to use in the wrong way also. I mean, in the modern time, what I don't like somehow is that most people, when they want to learn yoga, it's not that they really want to learn yoga. They want a diploma because they think this will be a new job for me and I can make money with it. It will be like a better job and like self-realization in form of some work which is more spiritual and nicer and so on. But in reality, I believe, I wrote this in my book somewhere, that a person who thinks like this is a person who wants to possess the yoga or the Shakti. You want to take it and use it according to your own wish. And this yoga Shakti, which start to come alive because of the practice, she is very alive. Yes, it's not like some fantasy anymore. Those who practice, they will start to feel it in their own life. She start to transform. She start to push you forward or push you back, and she start to stop you when you want to go in the wrong way, and so on. And sometimes not in a nice way. She's not like like a mother who just says, "Oh no, please." She, if you really want to go wrong, she will stop you hard. And I learned from my guru that you should not want to try to possess her, because nobody can. If you could, then all these men, which yesterday I called them motherfuckers, all these people who live in this world, who try to possess the world, who take all the riches of the world for themselves, who try to use all humanity as their slaves to produce money for them, and who want to change the world according to their own desire. Such men, they do exactly this. They want to possess something which you cannot possess. It will start to fight you and it will destroy you. And you, if you want to do yoga, you must be possessed by the Shakti. Yeah, it's also written in the foreword of my book. I think it was quite an intelligent phrase which I wrote. I wrote that you should become a slave of this power which start to whip you forward and finally whips you into freedom. Yeah, so you, again, when you start to become a yogi, you are a servant of this power, and you do exactly, you try to follow this advice or instinct which comes inside of you, what this God power wants, and then she will make you a yogi. You cannot want to be a yogi. This is strange. Like, I know it. I wanted to be a yogi, and my guru always said you will only be a yogi when you have reached samadhi. Because the word yogi, it means a man or a woman who has completed the yoga. Then when you are in samadhi, which is the absolute highest level of realization for a being, to unite completely with God and everything, then, yeah. And so as far as this moment doesn't come, I consider myself as a student. Yeah.
Do you believe is that more or less one highway for everyone, or we have to adjust our practice according to our characteristics, roots, or our abilities?
Yeah, I mean, this is natural. Everybody, of course, in Hatha you have Yama Niyama, the 10 commandments of yogis. They are even more detailed in Hatha Pratipika, where each of these yamas and niyamas is even specified more precisely, that like the cleanliness, shocha, that it is about eating clean food, about not only washing the body, but also about internal cleansing and such things. What was your question?
Do you think this path would work for everyone, or would there are different paths? If I could say, for the practice itself, like how do we adjust it to our characteristics? How do we adjust it to ourselves?
Of course, and I started with Yama Niyama and all these things because I wanted to say that basically there is like a structure. It's given in Hatha about the food. There are some rules. They say don't eat this, and so on. This, I believe, should be followed by everybody. And then certain or all of these Yama Niyamas: don't kill, don't harm, don't steal, don't lie, believe in the holy God, believe in the scriptures and such things. This is for everybody. But then, of course, because everybody has a different character, a different karma, and so your own personality start to connect to these rules of yoga and to the practice, and something will come which we can call real yoga, but it will not be exactly the same in every human being. This is absolutely not what yoga wants. Yoga likes the variety, like the nature. Like today they want to make the nature like uniform. They want to use their chemical products to kill the nature so much that only certain plants should be able to grow, only certain people should be able to survive, and so it's like a Nazi thinking that certain things should not survive, certain animals should disappear, and so on. In Hatha, or as I learned from my guru, you should become yourself. It's you are not like, in the beginning I believe I should become like my guru, and I even wanted or dreamed to dress like him, to wear sandals, these wooden sandals like him, and to be exactly like him. And when I started to, even like the first steps when I was in India, I also bought such wooden clocks, not the same as he had, but the Indian people helped me to find these all the things with the wooden piece between your toes. And after walking 10 meters, I already knew this is not for me. It's not for me. It was painful and it was very, very strange. And my guru, when I asked him about such things, he always would reply that I should follow my own feelings. I should become myself. Like, in the beginning I thought all the yogis, they should dress in white, because white is the color of yogis and purity and so on. But today I wear black, and I'm absolutely, like the opposite of my guru. My guru, he had a very black beard, he never used hair dye, he had black hair, black beard, but a very white dress. I have a black dress and a white beard, so it's like the opposite, but still I feel myself as a part of him somehow, and I know that he would not be happy if I try to imitate him, because imitating somebody, it's like you have a rock group like the Rolling Stones as an example, and you become a cover band and play Rolling Stones songs. You will never be the Rolling Stones yourself, of course. Because only if those artists and those people who really do something unique, they become the stars somehow. And it's maybe a bad example, because in yoga a yogi should not want to become a star. Yeah, but still, if you want to have success in yoga, I think it's about finding out who you are. I mentioned Kung Fu Panda, this film which I saw recently. I knew it, of course, that it exists, but I never saw it. And now with my wife, we started to watch these 3 films, and it was quite good. And it's about exactly this. Even this film, even if it's for children, it gave me some inspiration and courage. And it's about this panda. He gets the power to destroy the most evil of all demons, which wanted to destroy all the beings which he liked, and he could only do it by really becoming himself. And his teacher, this Shifu, he exactly teach him just to find the essence inside of yourself. And this is yoga. Yeah, it's what you should do in yoga. No matter what you do, if you find it, you will be a yogi somehow.
Yeah. Do you want to? Well, I think that freedom with the loosen up a little bit, is when we can understand, because in Shastras there are certain exercises or techniques explained certain way, but when you allow yourself freedom, you kind of know how to do it at some point. You kind of flesh, and that's something I wanted to chat with you, because I'm really into all the breathing and how it's the chemistry of it, of alchemy of it, and we can actually now look at it from scientific point of view, and we can understand how the carbon dioxide is produced and what it does. And when you combine this kind of techniques, it kind of it guides you as well, like it clicks together. Some techniques just reveal itself from understanding of its nature through scientific point of view, but then through your own experience and your own doing. So that's one. But I think I would go on about breathing, but would be maybe next time we could talk a little bit more about it. We don't have.
You see, basically what you now talked about, it is also, as I said yesterday, everything in Hatha, it's very simple somehow. It's all the movements that you do are simple. Every child can understand them. Inhale, exhale, pull back, push out, or bend back, or bend sideways, or whatever. Everything very simple. And the basics of this alchemistry, you call it alchemistry, is the attempt to unite opposites by using prana or oxygen, to unite with energies which are the opposite of prana, in yoga called apana, by bringing these two opposites together like black and white, or even better like life and death. If you start to go closer to death because you want to bring life into death, then of course some new energies will be created, and then the process of this transformation starts. Like basically yoga is only the attempt to unite these two opposite powers, prana and apana, and this what comes from it is called Kundalini. It is this magic, mystic, omnipotent serpent power which is seen in many forms, also in the universe, as spiral folks, or however they are called in the universe, which Polynesian people worship, and even tattooed. I also have tattooed some of these spiral form symbols. All this comes spontaneously from this attempt. You start to use oxygen and prana to bring it down inside of yourself and unite it with a power which is residing more in the lower parts of you, and by doing this, everything starts. And then, of course, then you could write 10 Bibles about it, but this, the yogis would never do it. They, as I said, the books in yoga, there are a few, of course, there are 20 Yoga Upanishads, but each of them not so long. All these 20, they fit in one book. And there are a few scriptures which are also not so long, 102, 110 verses sometimes. And they are very well known, Hatha Pradipika, Shiva Samhita, Geranda Samhita. From Goraksha, this greatest yogi, he was a disciple of Matsyendra, who was a shaman in very historic times. My guru told me he did not live in the Middle Ages, he lived long ago. He's like the forefather from which all these things came. And they did not write down what they were teaching, they transmitted it or taught by word sometimes, but mostly by practice and transmission to their students, and they only teach to those who really try.
The doors open from inside somehow. It's not like you banging there. Sometimes you just stay there by the door and you turn up every morning by the door, and then suddenly you could come up.
Like just to finish, a very good example is the story of my guru, who was found his guru in Kartikeya. This man, he had a very small ashram in Gopalkera in UP, Uttar Pradesh, and he practiced there. He came there, and it was like a house. The house doesn't exist anymore. I was there this year, first time. We tried to find it, and we just found like memories of some old people who remembered that once before there was something there. And there were people living also there who learned from Kartikeya and who had been there for many years. And then came my guru, a young man, and he started to practice. And they had an underground cave in which you could practice. And my guru, he retired into this cave, and he really started to do heavy practice. He became a master of Shambhavi Mudra, and he did all kind of Trataka practice. And when he came out from this cave, he had a power which people could feel. And then the people who lived there, they became jealous. And they went to Kartikeya. This is like historic. It was told to me by people in the ashram in Delhi that some of these people, they went to Kartikeya. He died in 1953. And they told him, Guruji, why you give so much power to this young man? He is here not for a long time, and we are already here for so long time, and you didn't give us the same power. Why are you like this? Like so, how you call it? Partaiisch, we say. Why you favor somebody more than us? And then Kartikeya said that he absolutely doesn't favor anybody. He is just here, and that the yoga power only goes to those who suffer and who practice. And most of these people, they thought that the guru is here, that he would do the practice for them, and one day he will just touch them and enlighten them. But this is absolutely not how it works. This is even today. Many people, they search for a guru like Osho, and Osho touch you, and then you have some experience and you believe you will be enlightened. This is absolutely not what happens in real yoga, I believe. When you meet the guru, he will make you very small first, and he will tell you to start, and he will push you to start, and he will make it difficult for you, and he will absolutely not enlighten you. He will make everything very dark. My guru once said that of course, when you are in difficult phase, and when you do Hatha, you are many times in very difficult periods. You are very sad, you are depressed, you are fighting, you think you will fail, and nothing really works, and things like this. And my guru said that only when life becomes black, like a blackboard, then God will begin to write something new on it. Yeah, and I believe this is yoga. Yeah, it's not the easy way. Yeah.
But what is it for?
It's for, it's what I think this God, I don't know, likes when people make effort to reach him or her. It's a power which want to see if somebody really want to get near. It's not something which you can buy in the supermarket. Yeah, this is the great error of all these rich people. I don't want to mention names again, like in the seminar. There are today some very rich people who terrorize the world with their richness somehow, with their filthy rich mind, and they believe you can buy everything. You can buy the world, you can buy the people, you can buy a nice life, even paradise. They build artificial paradise by having nice glamour girls and some kind of luxury 5-star life. But this is not the ultimate goal. I believe it's just an illusion. They will die, and maybe they will find themselves in hell, where they maybe even came from. I believe the good powers like love and everything, it wants you to do something. If you want to experience love, you must free yourself from hatred and evil thinking and all this. Otherwise there will be no love in your life. And this is unfortunately, I would say, our destiny. We must make a heavy effort, work hard to strive for a higher level of existence. There is no other way. Yeah, there is no easy way. Like yesterday I started to watch this film again. I saw it already once. It's called Limitless, Bradley Cooper. It's about a young man who is a failure in life. Like he wants to be a writer, but he has no fantasy and so on. And then somebody gave him a super pill, and when he takes this drug, he suddenly has all this kind of clarity of mind, and he becomes like a big shot. This is a dream. Yeah, people would like to have it. That's why they build pharma industries so big, because they think they will find something which will make them immortal in the easy ways. The doctor give you a pill, injection, and you will become immortal and a god and whatever. It will never be, never. God wants us to become children, and then we will feel what it is. I think that's all.
Well, thank you for your wisdom, and it's a blessing. Thank you for teaching, and hopefully continue this, and hopefully come to England as well. And
I will like. I told you I will want to visit some record shops in London, and I want to see England also. I might not want to visit the Buckingham Palace in the first place, but I like English culture somehow. I believe England very important country. Since for centuries it has changed the world, not only in good ways of course, but this little island, very dominant place, powerful people.
Well, we've got the retreat space there, so hopefully you can share some of the experience there, and maybe you go to Russia quite often, so
yeah,
it's all good.
I go to Russia.
Blessings.
Okay, thank you.